You check your phone. A notification. Another app wants your attention. You open it anyway. You tell yourself it's just for a second. It never is. And the strange part is that your phone didn't get lucky by accident. Someone designed it to feel exactly like a casino floor. But the real reason is far stranger than bad willpower or weak discipline. Long before smartphones existed, casinos had already discovered something about your brain that you still don't fully understand today. Walk into any casino and you'll notice something odd. There are no clocks, no windows. The carpet is loud and disorienting on purpose, designed to keep your eyes moving instead of settling. None of this is decoration. Every inch of that room was built by people who understood your psychology before psychologists had even finished studying it. Here's where it gets stranger. In the 1950s, a researcher named B.F. Skinner ran an experiment with pigeons. He gave them a lever. Sometimes pressing it produced food. Sometimes it produced nothing. The pigeons that got food every single time eventually stopped pressing. But the pigeons that got food unpredictably, they pressed the lever obsessively over and over, long after the food stopped coming. This is called variable reward. That simply means a reward that shows up on an unpredictable schedule instead of a guaranteed one. And it turns out unpredictability is far more addictive than certainty. Casinos figured this out decades before anyone put it into a textbook. A slot machine doesn't pay out on a fixed schedule. It pays out just often enough, just randomly enough, to keep your hand reaching for the lever. You're not chasing money anymore at that point. You're chasing the feeling of almost. But something even stranger happens once you understand this, because that exact mechanic didn't stay inside casinos. Open your phone right now and pull down on your email inbox or your social feed. That little loading spinner before new content appears? Same mechanic. You don't know if there will be something interesting waiting for you. Maybe there is. Maybe there isn't. That uncertainty is the hook. Researcher Natasha Dow-Schull spent over a decade studying gambling machines and the people who use them, and she found something unsettling. The most addictive machines aren't the ones promising the biggest jackpot. They're the ones that create what she calls the zone, a trance-like state where you stop thinking about winning or losing altogether and just keep playing to keep playing. Your banking app has a version of this too. Ever notice how checking your balance feels almost involuntary? You're not checking because you need the number. You're checking because not knowing feels worse than knowing. That's not weakness. That's your brain running code that's older than currency itself. That's only half the story, though. Because casinos didn't just exploit uncertainty. They exploited something even more personal: sunk cost. Sunk cost simply means money or effort you've already spent that you can never get back, no matter what you do next. Once you've spent an hour at a machine, walking away suddenly feels like admitting the hour was wasted. So you stay. You feed in more. Not because the odds improved, because leaving feels like losing twice. Now think about the last subscription you forgot to cancel, or the app you kept open because you'd already sunk 20 minutes into a level, or the stock you refused to sell because selling would mean admitting the loss was real. Nobel-winning psychologists Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky gave this feeling a name: loss aversion. That means losing something hurts roughly twice as much, psychologically, as gaining the same amount feels good. Casinos never needed the research paper. They already knew that losing $11 hurts more than winning $10 feels good, and they built entire floors around that asymmetry. Picture someone sitting at a slot machine for 3 straight hours. They tell themselves they'll stop after the next spin, then the next one, then one more after that. From the outside, it looks like poor self-control. From the inside, it feels closer to hope, refreshed every few seconds by a machine built to refresh it. That's not a character flaw. That's a nervous system responding exactly the way it evolved to respond to unpredictable reward, whether that reward comes from a slot machine, a fishing line, or a message notification. Then researchers noticed something even more unexpected. It wasn't just the games doing the work. It was the money itself. Casinos replace your cash with colorful chips almost the moment you walk in. This feels like a formality. It isn't. Chips don't feel like money. They feel like points in a game. And spending points hurts far less than spending actual bills, even when the value is mathematically identical. This is why you'll happily push a $100 chip across a table when you'd hesitate handing over five $20 bills. The casino didn't remove your money. It removed the feeling of spending it. Sound familiar? It should. Because the moment you tap your phone to pay instead of handing over cash, the exact same numbing effect happens. A tap doesn't feel like spending, it feels like unlocking something. Credit cards do this too, and so does every app that replaces dollars with in-game currency, coins, credits, or points. You're not buying less because prices went up. You're spending more because the pain of spending went down. There's a physical trick tied to this too, and it's older than any app. In the 1970s, a casino architect named Bill Friedman studied thousands of hours of floor footage and found that low ceilings, dim lighting, and maze-like layouts kept people gambling longer than open, bright, easy-to-navigate rooms did. Confusion, it turned out, wasn't a design flaw. Confusion was the design. A person who can't easily find the exit stays inside the decision loop a little longer, and a little longer adds up. Compare that to the app you're using right now. Notice how hard it is to find the button that deletes your account versus how easy it is to find the button that adds a new purchase. That's not carelessness. That's the same maze, rebuilt in software, with an exit that's technically there but never advertised. This is where the story stops being about casinos at all, because once you see this pattern, you start noticing it everywhere. Your food delivery app hides the delivery fee until the very last screen, after you've already imagined the meal arriving. Your investing app turns market swings into a colorful little animation, celebratory confetti when you make a trade, regardless of whether the trade was smart. Social media replaced likes with a variable, unpredictable stream of validation, exactly like a slot machine, except the currency being extracted isn't your cash. It's your attention, and attention is worth more to advertisers than most people realize. Here's the part almost nobody expects. None of these designers necessarily hate you. Many of them are simply doing what casinos did generations earlier, optimizing for engagement, because engagement is what pays their bills. The intention barely matters. The mechanism is identical either way. And this is where the stakes start to widen. Because this isn't only about a wasted afternoon or a small impulse purchase anymore. It's about identity. Every time an app rewards you unpredictably, it's training a habit loop deep in your brain, one repetition at a time. Multiply that by years, and you get more than a bad habit. You get a version of yourself shaped by hundreds of tiny invisible casino mechanics you never consented to. Warren Buffett has spent decades warning about a different kind of trap tied to the same instinct, acting on impulse instead of patience. He's often pointed out that the stock market is designed to transfer money from the impatient to the patient. That's not a coincidence. It's the same variable reward wiring, just wearing a different outfit. The person who checks their portfolio 50 times a day is playing a version of the same machine as the person pulling a slot lever, chasing the feeling of almost instead of a real outcome. And the stakes don't stop at one person's portfolio. Zoom out far enough, and this pattern starts shaping entire households, entire generations. A parent who checks a phone every hour for unpredictable validation is modeling that exact behavior for a child watching from across the dinner table. A family that swaps cash conversations for silent, frictionless taps raises kids who never watch anyone flinch at a price tag, never absorb the small, healthy discomfort that used to come before a purchase. Multiply that across a generation, and an entire society ends up more comfortable spending than saving, not because people got lazier, but because the friction that once protected them got engineered away, one convenient tap at a time. But here's the part that actually changes something. Once you can name a mechanic, it starts losing its grip on you. The uncertainty loop of your notifications stops feeling mysterious once you recognize it as engineered, not accidental. The tap-to-pay numbness stops working quite as well once you consciously translate the tap back into real dollars leaving your account. Sunk cost stops trapping you the moment you ask yourself a simple question. If I hadn't already spent this money, would I spend it now? If the answer is no, the money is already gone either way. Staying doesn't bring it back. This doesn't mean casinos are evil or that every app is secretly hostile. It means the tools built to exploit uncertainty can be recognized, and recognition is the first form of resistance. A slot machine loses some of its pull the moment you say out loud, "This is designed to feel unpredictable." A checkout screen loses some of its pull the moment you translate the glowing total back into hours of your actual work. Nothing about the mechanism changes. What changes is your relationship to it. And that relationship is the only part of this equation you were ever going to control. Morgan Housel, who has spent years studying how people actually behave with money rather than how they think they behave, points out that financial success has far less to do with intelligence and far more to do with behavior under pressure. The casino doesn't need you to be foolish. It only needs you to be human, reacting the way humans have reacted to unpredictability for thousands of years. So the next time your phone buzzes for no clear reason, or a checkout screen swaps your dollars for glowing digital coins, or you feel that pull to check one more time just in case something good is waiting, pause for a second. Ask what a casino architect would call this moment. Chances are they already have a name for it. You checked your bank account today and wondered where your money went. The answer was never really about a lack of income. It was about a room without clocks that got smaller, quieter, and slipped straight into your pocket. It followed you into your inbox, your checkout screen, your investing app, your child's bedtime routine, without ever needing a single flashing sign to announce itself. And the strangest part isn't that casinos understood you first. It's that once you understand them back, the room stops being able to hide. And the next tap, the next check, the next spin finally becomes a choice instead of a reflex.